How you doing, YouTube? Average Joe Motorsports. About to start my next project. It's a 2000 Gp1200r. I've had issues with this one. I'm about to explain to you. We got two new pistons. That is a Pro X piston. The third one it has 2 hours on it maybe. Got new crank seals. The cylinders were redone by Millennium Technologies. Less than 10 hours on each cylinder. Here's a crankshaft I just got back from Ericsson's Machine and Performance. What happened was the crank seals were leaking because it was pitting right here. I realized after I rebuilt the whole motor and pressure tested it, it was leaking out of the crank seals. I ripped it apart and I thought it would work, but it didn't because of the pitting. The crank seals were leaking. So we just got it back. He machined it down and brought it back up to spec. We're going to go through the steps and we're going to see if hopefully that fixes the problem. Crank seals, new circlips for the pistons. All the bolts are clean. Crankcase is clean. Here's the jet ski. 2000 Yamaha Gp1200r. I changed the colorway to black, white, and red. I have a seat that actually matches. We're going to get started on this project. If you like the videos you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. And soon we'll be getting ride videos. The temperature's getting up into the 60s now. About another 3-4 weeks, we'll be on the water breaking in all the builds that you've seen. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Project Gp1200R about to get underway. Stay tuned. Hello everybody. I am just gonna take some lacquer thinner, or you could take acetone, and I clean the surface area where the 1211 is gonna go. Make sure no grease or any kind of residues left over. Both surface areas are cleaned. There's a couple of things I'm gonna prep the crank seals and the crankshaft. So here's the brand new crank seal. That's the old ones. Brand new Yamaha crank seals. Always go OEM. And then this one. Make some room over here. Bring the crank up. So I use marine grease to grease the lips of the seal on the crankshaft. If you can see, there is the crankshaft. This is where one set of the seals sit. And this is the old one on there. This is where the other set's going to sit. Well, the other single one, I should say, not set. So I sprayed it down with a little bit of oil, some fogging oil, the whole crankshaft. Okay, so there's two crank seals that they go on the PTO side. Here's one, doesn't have any tabs. This one actually goes on first. And one, you can see the tabs, goes on the outside. They face back to back. I call it back to back, like so. In between the two crank seals, I like to grease in between the two crank seals. I actually use dielectric grease. If you look at Group K, this is something I've seen them recommend. Put it on the crankshaft where the seal is going to sit. On both sides. And I actually put them on the lips of the seals too. So you take the two seals, back to back, tabs facing the threads. Boom. Pop them on. We're gonna get the 3-bond 1211 sealant on both sides of the cases. And after we do that, we drop the crank in. Now, you got this side of the crank. You got limited time from when you apply the silicone sealer to drop in the crank. To tighten everything down. Say about 15, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Let me find a better way to set us up so we have a better view. Okay, I'm going to apply the sealant to both sides of the case. A very thin layer. I wipe it in with my finger. Like I said, you don't got that much time. Both sides of the cases. Time to drop the crank in. You got to align all the pins in the crankshaft in all the holes. What I'm gonna do kind of position it all now. Boom. Boom. Get them all close. This one is a pin right in there that this bearing's got to fit into. So I pick up the crank. Make sure all the seals line up. Right, those seals all line up. This seal, not yet. Okay. Yep. Seals are all lined up. Pins all in the thing. The only one I'm worried about is this one. Crank spins pretty freely. Yep, crank spins freely. That seals in. I think that one's locked into place. That one's locked in now. So, this bearing has a little clip, that's got to stick in on that side. That is all good. Now we're going to take the second half of the case. Drop it on top. Everything looks seated. Gonna drop the bolts in. So we got 1, 2. Two, 3, 4, 5.
foda, né?
Turn. Over 12. Runner. Piston 16. Okay. Everything's all torqued down. Make sure everything is how we want it. Make sure the crank still spins is actually probably the most important thing we could do. You always want to make sure the crank spins. So we do that. I'll probably get a bag to put that in. Okay. Let's see how the crank wheel. Yep, the crank seems to be spinning pretty freely. We can actually flip the whole case over. So the whole case, everything looks good. Still spins freely. So that part is done. Hello everybody, back with another day of working on project Yamaha Gp1200r, Average Joe Motorsports. Check me out on YouTube. What we're going to do today, I'm going to put the pistons on along with the cylinders. So I'm going to put the pistons on each of the rods and come back and put the cylinders on. We got the pins in one side of the piston already. So I'm going to go from the far side and work our way closer. Okay, so I got a little bit of a assembly lube. Put it on the bearing. Roll around. Put it in there. As you know, the arrow always points towards the exhaust side. So in this particular video, it's going to point towards me. Like I said, I usually stick my finger through and through the rod. Now, just like that. The one pin is in. I got some OEM circlips for the pistons. As you see, I have the paper towels, so none of them go flying, but that does happen. So Get the wrist pin through. Hatch done. Get a circlip. Of course, like I said, I got a bunch of OEM ones. Alright, so I prepped all the gasket surfaces, cleaned it up with lacquer thinner. Like I said, I put grease on all my gaskets. I cleaned out the cylinders. The cylinders are all as clean as they're going to get. Take a little bit of grease on my finger and I rub it around on the gasket, the base gasket. This definitely, you know, just a very light coat, definitely helps everything seal. I didn't always do this. Not only does it help seal, but when you go to take the gaskets off, it makes it a lot nicer. It really should only be one way this goes on. The alignment pins. Oil up the cylinder. About to drop in the piston. You don't want to be sticking everything in there dry. So, this piston is all oiled up. Alright, so this is all lined up. Now, as you can see, got to make sure the rings, which were of course already pre-gapped, are within there. That one's in. That one's in. And that one's in. Make sure the base gasket is where you want it. Everything looks like it fit just fine. Then, obviously, you go on to the next cylinder. That one's in. That one's in. 3 cylinders dropped on. Now I gotta look up the torques, torque them all down. Pretty sure it's Loctite 572. Unfortunately, I did a little mix up. This cylinder right in front of us is supposed to be over there, and vice versa. So I will be taking these two off and swapping them over. Not that big of a deal. I'm glad I noticed it. Well, sometimes you always got to watch. Sometimes when you go too fast, things that you don't want to happen. But this wasn't too bad a mistake. At least I didn't bolt anything down yet. Picked up on it. Some of you guys might have picked up on it. You can tell by the power valve placement. There you go. Now it's right. Now it's right. Alright. So one thing that I always almost forget to do is attach the exhaust manifold before I tighten down the cylinder base bolts, because that kind of squares off the cylinders. So, yes.
I did that this time.
Alright, 1628. Exhaust manifold tightened. Now we're going to go ahead again, 16 and 28. So we'll do a cross pattern on each individual cylinder. Cylinders are now torqued down. So I put the torque wrench back on 0 and prep for the next step, which I believe is going to be taking the old reeds out of the other case and putting it on these. So stay tuned.